Today on the show, we're talking to a former professional athlete who has made the switch to, can you guess what industry? Commercial real estate, of course, specializing in office in Perth, WA, Western Australia. So stick around. Hello and welcome to CRE Success, the podcast. My name's Darren Krakowiak. I help commercial real estate leaders to develop their people and to grow their business. As always, really appreciate you taking the time to join us for another episode. And if you are listening to us on your favorite podcast player and you're not already subscribed to the show, get into maybe you're listening on Apple Podcasts, for example, hit that plus button and make sure that you are subscribed so you do get informed whenever we do release a new episode. And the more subscribers we have, the more that the algorithm gods will be, of course, recommending the podcast to more people who may be interested. Very, very excited to introduce you today to our special guest, Brent Griffiths. Brent is the Director of Office Sales and Leasing at Realmark Commercial, which is a very large agency, around 250 people in Perth, Western Australia. And we're going to be speaking to Brent, well, right now. Brent Griffiths, welcome to CRE Success, the podcast.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Now, Brent, you've been a professional athlete before you started in commercial real estate. So I thought that would be a good place for us to begin. Can you tell us about your past as an athlete playing soccer professionally?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. Feels like a long time ago now, to be completely honest, but I played professionally for about 10 years over 5 different countries. So started in the UK and then sort of segued, that was my junior careers, and then sort of segued over to Australia, where I played 7 years for Perth Glory, Wellington Phoenix, and then eventually in Central Coast Mariners, where we won the A-League with the 2012-13 team, where we also had Graham Arnold was our head coach. So it was a great experience. And then sort of in the latter years, finished up in Malaysia and Indonesia.
Awesome. And how did you eventually land in commercial real estate after such a great experience in 5 different countries playing sport competitively?
Yeah, pretty diverse background from the two, but my father was always in property as a developer and also builder. And then in the later years, we did some sort of syndications and such through some of the footballers I knew and personally, and always found it quite interesting to see how these projects sort of got off the ground and came to fruition. And I think it was a natural progression into property, and I found my niche in commercial property through my father, and also actually a gentleman called Nick Tarner, who anyone in the eastern states, definitely WA, might have heard of Chicken Treat and Red Rooster. So they originally started Chicken Treat. So he was the previous owner of Perth Glory and gave me an opportunity in property through his son-in-law.
Right. So how does competitive sport prepare you for a career in commercial real estate? What can you draw from that experience that you can bring into our industry?
Yeah, look, I like anything, obviously, there's competition in any levels of life. It depends on what stage you want to get to and how high performing you want to be. But I think the simple principles from sport relay into any sort of working life and working career is, ensuring that I'm eating right, drinking water, sleeping. I have a plan in mind of what it is that I wanted to do. I'm structured in my day, and I know what my outcomes and what my overall goals are. And I think that can be transitioned into any sport and any working career.
And now your dad obviously had that experience in property, but what did you have to do to develop yourself to become a credible practitioner in commercial real estate?
Yeah, I think my mentality, and I dare say this is hard to tell some of the younger people coming into the industry these days, because everything seems quite instant with the likes of TikTok and Instagram and overnight success. But, my football career and soccer career didn't happen overnight. It happened over, 20 odd years of, day in, day out, going down to the field and training. And basically although I must admit I didn't love property or commercial real estate when I fell into it, I did, however, had the mentality that if I put my mind to it and really persisted and sort of mastered the skill of commercial real estate, that I would eventually be good at it, and that could lead on to other areas. And basically, I would dare say the first 2 years, especially in 2016 when I came into it, was quite depressed, the market. But after about a year and a half, I had some small wins that made me realize that if I did X and I did it consistently, that then I would get the outcome of Y. And as I would get better and better and better and put more hours into it, then, my career would blossom. And I'm pretty thankful that I took that philosophy from football and my sporting career into commercial real estate and really just persisted with it.
And has your career sort of gone as you would have expected, or have there been some surprises along the way that you can share?
Look, yeah, I think, I taking from your one of your modules of having a growth mindset, I always believe I've had that, can-do attitude and the growth mindset, that even the setbacks that I would learn from it in lieu of, oh, I wish I was doing something else. Like I mentioned before, it was a pretty depressed market in 2016 when I came into it. I used to hear stories that, you'd get multiple offers on properties when the first day it came to market, and I've never really saw that. So it just made me realize that I have to work a little bit harder and smarter. So probably, you would hear the war stories of the war veterans that have been around for years saying that, they were lining up and they used to be able to bring multiple offers to landlords and that sort of thing. And I never saw that. So I guess for me, hearing that and probably realizing that I was going to have to really work hard, doing it was probably the biggest surprise. But like I said, I just think the persistence on doing it. But I guess the other side of it was I really enjoyed the face-to-face, the contact, the meetings, the coffees, the catch-ups, and that it was taking me into different diverse backgrounds, and it could be anything from mining to education to retail side of it, and it was pretty diverse. So there was lots of different areas and categories that I was dealing with.
You mentioned TikTok and Instagram before. I'd like to ask you about LinkedIn, because I've been quite impressed since I've known you with your profile building efforts on LinkedIn. You're quite successful in terms of generating engagement and also in some way leveraging some of your past experience in professional sport. So what specific recommendations would you have for people listening on how they can stand out in their market from a personal branding perspective?
Yeah. Well, thank you. First of all, I appreciate the kind words. LinkedIn and any social media platform is just a way of showing yourself. I think and I think being your true self on social media is probably the best way, and people can feel that no matter what it is that you're doing. LinkedIn was probably the easiest way for me in a professional environment to be able to show what it was previously that I did and what I'm doing now, and then have those synergies link up. I didn't feel like I can do that as well on, say, Facebook or Instagram, and I haven't tried TikTok because I'm terrible at videos, or I think I am. But I think ultimately my one bit of advice to someone would be that if you have a love or a passion that you do outside of your working career, maybe try and find a way in which that you can bring them two together. And I think from my side of it is I'd like to think that I can have a joke about myself, and I like to feel that I can try and bring a bit of humor into some of the stuff I do, and then obviously if it needs to be serious, I can take that serious side as well. So football and sport is a really easy pathway to bring people together, and I feel like although it seems like I'm leveraging that position, it feels quite natural for me.
That's good advice. Thanks for sharing that. Now, Realmark is quite a force in Perth, and for our listeners outside of WA, though, they're probably not familiar with the brand. So can you tell me a little bit about the business and what sets it apart from other agencies?
Yeah, no, Realmark is actually a bit of a household name in WA. It's been around for 33 years now. And actually, believe it or not, started in commercial real estate, but then probably got its most success in residential property.
I didn't know that. All right.
Yeah, a bit of background on it. So it started with John and Anita Perkadani, who are actually, as we've been doing this interview, both walked down the hall, meeting people in the office as we speak. So they're actively involved. and nurturing talent coming through. But we've got, you know, nearly circa 230 to 250 people working in the company across from Dunsborough up to Port Hedland, Karratha, Broome, and multiple franchises in WA. I would dare say that we have market share, especially in the residential space. The commercial is certainly a growing brand that we've got, and it has been around for a long time, but certainly starting to get more headway with some heavy recruitment. But yeah, I would dare say that we do have plans, and we are looking to head eastern states, and currently have a DFO in Adelaide, which we've just will launch and turn dirt, or has turned dirt. We'll be launching in, I think it's about 6 months.
Okay, I didn't know that you had expansion plans coming east, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
So what do you look for when you're recruiting new talent? You say you've got plans to grow. What are you actually looking for within people in terms of the attributes that are going to fit well into, you know, what you're growing within the business and for your team specifically?
I think this, I'm going to say a slight swear word, Darren, so sorry for the PC, you might have to blunt this out, but I think we took a football factory mentality and a very sporting, obviously hence myself, background of a no dickhead policy. Sorry for that one.
That's all good.
And with that has been emulated and copied throughout AFL and soccer and multiple sports. It's a locker room environment, and that we can feel that, and we want to make sure that the people that are in the room that we're seeing every day, that we want to be mates with and can work with and have a good working environment. So that's probably the key attribute. I think we have nurtured and gone for younger talent, to be completely honest, and the reason for that is because of that football factory mentality. It's been a very competitive market here in WA for agents. There's a lot of agencies here. There's a lot of tier 1 and tier 2 agencies. And we weren't in the position to be able to go and, you know, pay ridiculous salaries for, you know, someone more established. So we had the mentality of trying to train them up, and hence using yourself, Darren, while we're talking today, as part of that process. But I think, you know, attributes of hardworking, they're trying to do things a little bit smarter than potentially work harder, but like a bit smarter and trying to do things a little bit differently, thinking outside the box, creative. Again, you know, the culture that we're trying to embed was very important, and that goes down to the no dickhead policy, and just honestly, just good people.
All right, I think no dickhead policy. That's acceptable for this forum, so I don't need to get the beep button out. Thanks for mentioning CRE Success, and I did want to ask you a couple of questions about some of the work that we've done together, because you appointed me to come and do some training with your team. It was a 6-module program called Top Performer. Can you tell me what was the reason why you decided to appoint us to do that work with your team?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think there was a few reasons, to be completely honest. I think the necessity to learn is always going to be there, no matter what walk of life and wherever you're at. I think we can always learn. I think you've managed to, in my personal opinion, is corner a bit of a market in Australia for the services and the platform that you provide. I don't think there's many people or many businesses out there that I've seen that are doing and offering it quite like you do, or also is agile to be able to either jump in a plane, do it by Zoom, mix up the programming, be able to work in with the client. So that flexibility was something that we certainly felt was aligned with us and worked well with us. I think we did have, as mentioned before, a younger group of people that we want to invest in, and there's no better way to invest in younger talent than through training and learning outcomes. And with that also brings a group of people together, and it is a 3 to 5 year plan. It's not a 12-month overnight success, although we did take a lot of outcomes from the CRE Success training, Top Performer training. So yeah, I think there's probably a few different answers in that, but yeah, they all sort of align to why it worked.
That was great, and I really appreciate the opportunity to work with you and your team. And I'd love to know, was the program what you expected, or was it not what you expected?
I I think parts of it were, certainly. I think there was you never know, right? You never know until you meet the trainer, you meet the person, you go through it, you listen to the feedback that everyone in the room, because I think we might have mentioned that sometimes the knowledge is also in the room. The trainer obviously can guide that knowledge, but it comes in the conversation. It comes in how people interpret the message. And that's kind of, you never know what's going to happen until you're there in that room on the day. And then also the way that the message is sent, whatever it's taught, whether it's prospecting, whether it's client lists, whatever it is, whether it's social media profile or profiling, what people are going to take out from it in that message as well. So there were elements of things that I expected, and certainly things that I didn't. And also, I suppose, things that might be important to me may not be important to someone that's been in the game longer than I have, or someone that's been in the game less. So yeah, definitely a diverse response.
So I know it's only been a couple of months since we wrapped up the final module, but what's been some of the value for you and your team from going through the program?
So it came at a really pivotal time for us. I think it worked really well, to be honest, coming at the end of 2022, so that we could get together and really understand what we were wanting to do and have a vision for 2023. So in that time, everyone went away, and we've also for the next 12 months, which I don't know if many agencies have this, and I can honestly say in my 7 years that I haven't had this previously, but we've set out a 12-month program for our sales programs, sales meetings, and how they work, and systems in place. We've also run a share meeting, which will run conversely every second week based upon that for the next 12 months. A lot of the agents went away and basically realized where they want to position themselves as agents in the market, and that can be in value, it can be in sector, it can be leasing, it can be sales, whatever it was. So there's a lot more greater understanding of that. I think every single agent has walked away with a prospecting plan and what that looks like to them and their team, which is amazing. And just general numbers of what it is they wanted to look at. We at Realmark, and I'm going to have a bit of a plug here at Realmark, but there was obviously the first portion of the top performer was very much based upon mental wellness and well-being and being in the right mindset. And we offer 4 fully paid wellness days, so each quarter, as part of the Realmark initiative. So essentially, if there is one of our team is feeling that they're a little bit under pressure at work or at home, we encourage them to take a day off a quarter, go play golf, go clear their head, make sure that they're in the right frame of mind to be at work. And I think that aligns well with that mind, body, soul, because it is quite a tiring job. So I think that just sort of segues back onto what we're doing here as well.
Awesome. I'm really pleased to hear about that alignment. When I speak to people, I like to understand if they could just describe the experience in one word, what it was like. And I'm putting you on the spot here. Is there a word that comes to mind to describe what the experience was like for you and your team of going through the program?
One word. I like, it was probably quite an interesting word, but the first thing that came to my head was evolution. I don't know why. It was a bit of an evolving process. Yep. Whether evolution is the right word, but yeah, it was ever evolving as the modules changed and the conversations changed and the feedback and how that sort of worked.
I think that's a good word to describe it. My recollection is that maybe some people, maybe not skeptical, but they weren't sure if it was going to be a good use of their time. And I feel like people warmed up pretty quickly, particularly once we got into the prospecting material, and then people really started to engage more. So actually, I think evolution is a great word. If you've got any advice for anybody who's either thinking of joining the program or a leader who's thinking of investing for their team to do the program, what would you say to them?
Look, I'd definitely do it 100%. I'd give it a go. I think there's no such thing as there's no bad timing. There's no bad, the money you'll earn it back. Whatever you spend, you'll earn it tenfold. To get these guys and girls into a room and just to have some brainstorming and conversation that's different from the day-to-day is 100% recommended. And I dare say we'll do it again.
Brent, I really appreciate the opportunity to work with you and your team and to play a small role in what you're building in WA with Realmark. Thanks so much for talking to me today.
Thanks, Darren. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed today's interview with Brent. We got to find out, which I didn't know about, the expansion plans for Realmark. So if you like the sound of what Brent's sort of building and what Realmark is all about, and you're not a dickhead because they've got a no dickhead policy, maybe get in touch with Brent and see what their plans are there. And if you're interested in Top Performer, it's something that we provide to our corporate clients, but we also provide to individuals. Now, if you're a team leader and you're interested in providing this training platform for your team, you can contact us via email, hello@cresuccess.co. Or if you're an individual and you'd like to invest in your own, I guess, capacity and your own future and your own development and take part in the Top Performer program, it is available to individuals. There are 6 modules in the program. We start off with personal excellence. We get into purposeful prospecting. Then we go into building your brand, ways to win, efficiency and effectiveness, and finally, client accumulation. We've got a page set up where you can register your interest, and then we'll send you more information about the program. It is cresuccess.co/top performer, all one word, cresuccess.co/top performer. That is our episode for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I will speak to you soon.